On July 28, 2004, Juan Cerezo Ortiz called his wife to tell her he'd safely arrived at work. But there was one problem. No one ever saw him get there. 20 years later, Juan and his white van have vanished without a trace. This is his story. Welcome back. I'm your name, and today we're examining one of Spain's most puzzling missing persons cases, the disappearance of Juan Bautista Cerezo Ortiz. Juan was a hard-working carpenter, a newlywed, and a man who seemed to have everything going for him. But on the day before his 25th birthday, he disappeared somewhere between his home and his workshop in the mountains of southern Spain. What happened during that drive? Did he ever reach his destination? And why has no trace of him or his vehicle ever been found? Let's dive in. Juan Bautista Cerezo Ortiz was born on July 29, 1979. By the summer of 2004, he was 24 years old and living in Rincón de la Victoria, a quiet coastal town just east of Malaga in Andalusia, southern Spain. Juan was a self-employed carpenter who specialized in wooden furniture. Those who knew him described him as exceptionally hardworking and dedicated to his craft. He ran a successful workshop in Cómpeta, a small mountain town about 28 miles from his home. It was a long daily commute through winding mountain roads, but Juan's business was thriving, and he took pride in his work. In late June of 2004, Juan married his wife, Raquel. They'd only been married for 1 month when he disappeared. Friends and family said the couple seemed happy together, though some noticed that Juan had appeared somewhat depressed that summer. Still, nothing in his behavior suggested he was planning to leave his life behind. Juan was 5'7" with a muscular build, the kind of physique you'd expect from someone who worked with his hands every day. He was reliable, responsible, and well-liked in his community. He simply wasn't the type of person to vanish without explanation. But that's exactly what happened. Wednesday, July 28, 2004, started like any other workday. Juan and Raquel woke up early. Juan told his wife he was planning to stay overnight at his workshop in Cómpeta. He had urgent furniture commissions to complete, and he was expecting to collect a substantial payment from a client. Around mid-morning, Juan left home, driving his white SEAT Marbella van. It was the kind of small, practical vehicle many tradespeople used in Spain at the time. Shortly after leaving, Juan called Raquel. He told her he'd arrived safely at the workshop and was opening up for the day. Everything seemed normal. Everything seemed fine. That phone call would be the last time anyone ever heard from Juan Cerezo Ortiz. As the day wore on, Raquel tried calling him back, but there was no answer. At first, she wasn't too concerned. Perhaps he was busy with a customer or working with loud power tools. But as the hours passed and her calls continued to go unanswered, worry began to set in. When Juan didn't come home that night and still wasn't answering his phone, Raquel knew something was terribly wrong. She contacted the authorities. When police arrived in Cómpeta to investigate, they discovered something deeply unsettling. Despite Juan's phone call claiming he'd arrived at the workshop, no one in the town had seen him that day. His workshop hadn't been opened, and his white SEAT Marbella van was nowhere to be found. There was no sign that Juan had ever made it to Cómpeta. So where did he call from, and what happened between that phone call and his complete disappearance? Investigators launched an extensive search operation. They combed the treacherous mountain roads between Rincón de la Victoria and Cómpeta, looking for any sign of an accident, a vehicle that might have gone off the road, skid marks, anything. The route was winding and dangerous in places, with steep drops and sharp curves, but the search turned up nothing. Police also searched the Sierra de Cazorla, a mountainous area over 160 miles northeast of Malaga. Juan loved hiking there, and investigators thought he might have gone there for some reason. But again, nothing. Flyers with Juan's photo were distributed throughout the region. Appeals were made to the public, but as days turned into weeks, there were no credible sightings, no leads, no clues. Then, 2 months after Juan's disappearance, something strange happened. Raquel's brother began receiving phone calls from an anonymous man who claimed to be holding Juan captive. The caller demanded 15,000 euros, about 24,400 US dollars, and gave instructions to deposit the money into a specific bank account. In a bizarre twist, the caller later changed his demand, asking for the money to be delivered by someone wearing a bikini on a beach. It was an odd, almost theatrical request that raised immediate red flags. Investigators traced the calls and arrested a 22-year-old man, but he turned out to be nothing more than a cruel prankster with no connection whatsoever to Juan's disappearance. He was charged with extortion, threats, and obstruction of justice, but the hoax brought no Juan's family closer to finding him. The investigation had hit a wall. So what happened to Juan Cerezo Ortiz? Over the past 2 decades, several theories have been proposed, but none have been proven. The first theory is that Juan was involved in an accident on the mountain roads. The route between Rincón de la Victoria and Cómpeta is challenging, with narrow passages and steep cliffs. It's possible that Juan's van went off the road in a remote location where it still hasn't been discovered, but extensive searches of the area found no evidence of this. The second theory is voluntary disappearance. Some have speculated that Juan, who was reportedly depressed that summer, may have chosen to start a new life elsewhere. But this theory has significant problems. Juan was a newlywed. His business was successful. His 25th birthday was the very next day. Those who knew him insist this was completely out of character, and there's been no confirmed sighting of him in 20 years. The third theory is foul play. Did Juan encounter someone with bad intentions? Did something happen to him before he reached Cómpeta? This question, where Juan was when he made that final phone call, remains one of the biggest mysteries of the case. Did he lie to his wife about his location? Was he forced to make the call under duress? Or did something happen immediately after he hung up the phone? We simply don't know. Juan's phone records, the lack of witnesses, and the complete absence of physical evidence have left investigators with more questions than answers. The day after Juan disappeared, July 29, 2004, should have been his 25th birthday. Instead, it became the first day of a mystery that has lasted 2 decades. Raquel, his wife of just 1 month, has had to live with the unbearable uncertainty of not knowing what happened to the man she married. Did he die in an accident? Was he the victim of a crime? Or did he, for reasons unknown, choose to disappear? Juan's family continues to search for answers, holding on to hope that one day someone will come forward with information that finally solves this case. Juan Cerezo Ortiz was 5'7", had a muscular build, and was last seen driving a white SEAT Marbella van. If you have any information about his disappearance, please contact local authorities in Malaga, Spain. Cases like Juan's are a stark reminder of how quickly someone can vanish, and how devastating it is for the families left behind, waiting for answers that may never come. If this case moved you, please consider sharing this video to help spread awareness about Juan's disappearance. Every share could be the one that reaches someone with information. And if you'd like to see more deep dives into unsolved mysteries and true crime cases, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching, and remember, every missing person has a story worth telling. Until next time.